And we are live. Welcome to my weekly show. I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman and from ConnectedForReal.com. And yes, and today we have Devora-Gila Berkowitz, who is so much fun and and is going to talk to us about the work-life balance and how it's a whole myth and we actually should do things differently. So let's, Devora-Gila, introduce yourself and tell us all why you're so amazing.
Well, I'm so excited to be here with my blinding earrings. I hope I don't blind anybody with these. So thank you so much, Rebbetzin, for having me here. I love our connection and the conversations that we have had. I love helping ambitious, high-achieving women leaders, entrepreneurs, influencers, women making a difference in our crazy, chaotic world and helping them achieve a life of ease and flow, peace and calm, alignment and balance. And that's my mission in the world right now.
Woohoo! I love it. I love all those words that work so well together.
The woo-woo words.
Yeah. Well, they're really powerful because it's not just, out there, it's really achievable, that's the awesome part of it. So tell us how you do it. Sorry, I'm trying to find
give away all my magical secrets already.
So, first tell us why you think that it's a myth to find balance between, work and life. Because if it's a myth, then it's a little bit frustrating that we're all running towards something that isn't attainable or achievable. So is it something that we can achieve? And is it just a myth that needs to be balanced? Or does it just need to be in harmony? Tell us a little bit about what you think.
Yeah, let's start here. Let's start with the facts.
Yeah.
Right? This feeling that you're being pulled in so many different directions. By work and family, spinning plates in the air, juggling all of the things, right? Too many responsibilities, too many priorities. It's like you can't be in more than one place at once, but when you're doing this, you want to be doing the other thing, right? Can you relate to that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so, welcome to the modern era, right? This is very true. And especially for ambitious, high-achieving women who push themselves and who are on the go. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, we love to give. We love to give to our families. If we have businesses, we love to give to our clients. It's just so natural. And we've been nurtured to give. And the problem is that you end up being pulled apart at the seams. And then there's nothing left for you. And so you're worn out, fatigued, exhausted. No time for yourself to take care of yourself, no time to exercise or to eat right. I remember the days of just my meals was the kids' leftovers, right? And not getting enough rest.
Wait, isn't that our job?
Right.
Isn't that in the description of your job as a mother that you shouldn't waste any food and you should be the one to eat it all up so that it doesn't go to waste? I'm totally joking.
Well, that's the thing is that being a busy woman pulled in different directions comes with it a lot of presumptions, right?
Yes.
One of those presumptions is this myth that I'm going to call it, that we need to have work-life balance. It's all the shoulds, I really should be doing everything. I should be doing it well, if not perfectly. And not only does that put a lot of pressure on you, but it puts pressure on your family, because once you get stressed, right, the woman is the core of the home. And so everybody feels that stress. And so that's a very big problem. And so it impacts on your relationships, whether it's with your spouse, with your children. You end up being really moody, grumpy, and snappy, right? And you don't want that. What you want instead is really, what?
I said, I can relate.
Right? This is very relatable. And so what you want instead, of course, is that feeling of calm and peace and alignment and balance. And that's how the whole idea of work-life balance was born, of this belief that, I really should have it all together. I should be able to put all the pieces together and have it run really smoothly and do it elegantly and with grace. So the myth is like this.
Yeah, and I think it came from comparing to other people, because we don't actually see everybody else's mess. All we see is that it looks like they got it all together. And so it seems like it's, something that somebody else can do and I just can't. Like, she's got it all together and I don't. So it must be that there's something wrong with me. Meanwhile, the other lady's thinking the same thing about you, because we're all in the boat together,
Right, exactly. And the thing is that those voices, they're really coming from within us. It's coming inside your own head. And so here's the problem with the myth of work-life balance. That having this presumption that everything has to be imbalanced is it's aggrandizing or making the original problem bigger. What's the original problem? The original problem is the need for control, to have to control. And that's what happens, thinking like, I'm not enough, it's not good enough. And you grew up with a mindset that you have to work hard to achieve, and right, you have to do everything super well in order to be accepted. And so when we think that work-life balance is the answer, what we're doing is, again, trying to be in control and to control the externals and to control the circumstances and the situations around us, when the solution is that the answer lies within yourself. Boom, she drops the mic. Right, so that's the core. That's the core thing. The myth is it's not outside of you. The solution is within. What are your thoughts on that?
And it's counterintuitive. Oh, I love it. I think that, sometimes people get really frustrated when they're told the answers come from within, because then they're like, well, if they're inside me, then how do I, how come I don't know? Like, how come I didn't find it yet if it's so close? But it's because you haven't been looking. You've been looking outwards. And it feels like the answer is counterintuitive. Like, you want to control, so it must be that the answer would be letting go, just letting go of the results, letting go of the expectations, and just being in the moment, in the present. I'm going to just throw a guess.
Exactly. Like, what is the opposite of control? The opposite of control is not lack of control. The opposite of control is trust. It's that letting go. It's that allowing. It's that let go and let God. And if we think about it this way, I want to shine some light on here. I discovered recently in one of my just mental explorations, spiritual ponderings, that the reason why we get stuck on perfectionism and we want things to go, we want them to go well and go a certain way, is because we are divine souls, divine beings in human form. We are the divine. The divine made space, so to speak, and stepped out of the way so that we can be here, so that we can reveal the divine in the world, but we have that divine inside of us. And so we get confused because we're human, we're finite, we're both infinite. We have that perfection sense about us because we are divine beings, but we're finite because we're human. And that's where it gets so frustrating, that we can't do it all. And we're not meant to do it all because we're human beings, right? So we need to balance in between the divine and the human. And how do we balance that? By going inside with lots of compassion, huge amounts of awareness, self-awareness and compassion. And actually, I've got a process that I can talk a little bit about if you want to hear more about that.
That is, so it resonates, you reminded me of one of the things I always say is, like, there's a prerequisite to being in this world, and it's being human. Like, you can't avoid being human. And so you're not going to have it all together and be perfect and whatever. But on the other hand, you will be able to allow Hashem, God, to guide you if you just listen. Like, if you just turn off all the noise and really get in touch with that part of you that can connect, then there is a lot of ways to get that message and get the clarity, but you have to be willing. You have to really want it. So first, I just I want to stop for a second because I got really excited. My mother is here and she said hi in the comments, and it got me so happy. So I couldn't stop you in the middle, but now I just jumped in. So hi, Yuma. So now we get back to like our serious selves. But she gets so much credit for how awesome I am. So definitely worth the shout out.
Mom's a great
So okay, so let's really you said you have a system for that. Do you want to share that with us? Because I think that would be really helpful, because I'm really into practicality and I want to bring what we're talking about into the world. Our day today.
Absolutely. And before we do that, I want to tell a quick story about letting go of control. So years ago, before I started my work with intuitive coaching and divine energy healing, I was a vocal coach, and I was teaching women how to use their voices to connect to themselves, to connect to the divine in order to sing better, and also to, feel better about themselves, right? And so I had one woman who is so awesome. One woman who wanted to improve her voice. She couldn't reach those high notes, and her voice always hurt because she pushed when she sang. And so through a holistic process that I developed, and it was all about connecting to the divine within you and connecting to the divine source. She not only learned how to hit those high notes with so much beauty, but she opened up with so much trust and so much love from her heart that she ended up improving her marriage relationship. Ooh. She came with marriage troubles, and they were trying to get pregnant for a couple of years. And so as a result of this opening and allowing and trusting, that by the end of just a short time working together, she revealed that she was expecting her next child.
Woo, that is so beautiful. It really, I think that also shows that relationship between, mind, body, the soul, and the way that we perceive the world. It's like your body feels if there's trust, it feels if there's safety, and it really will open up when you start to trust and to, that you said, that compassion for yourself. That's just like so big. That's something that, I think we should all strive for. Something so beautiful.
Have you ever seen like a snail outside? I love going outside with my kids and like finding little bugs, things in nature. And you see a snail and like you go out to pet it and it withdraws back into its shell, right? So that's also us, and that's what we do. And we try to control and protect ourselves, and that's totally natural because that's part of being a finite human being. And when we allow and let go and trust, we're connecting to our divine soul, and it allows us to poke our head out of our shell, see the sunshine, right? Being able to, get back and connected into the world. So, how about I share my process?
Okay, go ahead. We are ready.
Okay, so these are, this is your path to ease and flow, and it starts with the 5 C's. It's like easy to remember, 5 C's. The first C is conscious awareness, right? Awareness is so like obvious. Like, of course I need to be aware of what my problems are, but it's not just awareness of the circumstances, whether you're struggling in your life, you're struggling in your marriage. It's also awareness of what are the thoughts going on in your mind when you're not even paying attention, right? It's about developing an awareness to what are those tapes you're playing over and over. I'm not enough.
I was going to say, don't worry. It's not that we're thinking so many thoughts, it's that they're all repetitive and we're just like replay. Like we're always on reruns and it's so boring. Like, let's just bring that up, be aware of it, and decide if it's serving us or not. Because it's really boring if it's not. Like, it's getting old. So yeah, go ahead. I love that.
Remember back in the day when there was just like a few TV stations? It was like CBS, NBC, and ABC or something like that. I'm so dating myself. And right. And so those were the only channels. We have about 80,000 thoughts in our head, which seems like a lot, but most of them are the same thought over and over again, right? Yes. So you have to be aware of what is your thinking. Are you thinking you're not worthy, so you don't take time out for yourself, or that you're not enough, it's not good enough, so you have to keep pushing yourself? What are those thoughts? Also awareness on what is that causing in your body? Like, I was talking to a woman recently who had a, what do you call it, a heating pad on her shoulder while we were talking about being stressed and overwhelmed because she had chronic neck pain from being stressed and overwhelmed. So what are you doing in, what's happening with your body as a result of the stress and overwhelm that your thoughts are causing you? Because we're a holistic package. And then finally, what are the emotions you're feeling? That moodiness, frustration. Are you anxious because you're not able to do all the things that you think you're supposed to be doing? So that's awareness.
I love that. You made me think of Hannah Mason's example. She calls our body a natural lie detector, because the way a lie detector works is they check your pulse, they check your eyes, if they're dilating, whatever. They check all these different things about your body. And when you answer questions, they will see if your body is in stress or if it's at peace. And so you will know if a thought is truth or if it's not, because of the way your body is either closed or open. And so if you're feeling tight and you're feeling heavy and you're feeling like ugh and yucky, then you can know that something is going on with your thoughts and that you're believing something that's really stressful. And if you're open and feeling really calm and ease and flow and all those awesome things that we said, it's like, yeah, I know that it's all, it almost brings us back to like, it's all in the way that you think. It's all in your mind.
Yeah. And so you might be thinking, well, how do I get from that stressful thought into ease and flow? It's just like, I am so stuck. Like, what do I do? Which brings me to dun, 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 the second C. The second C is compassion.
Yes.
Compassion and unconditional love. And this is something that we so need on our planet right now. And it starts with each one of us. It starts with each person. It starts with each woman, each mother, starts with you and me. And so what is compassion? Compassion is remembering that you are on a mission from infinite into finite. And you actually, according to sacred Jewish wisdom, the Kabbalah, you were actually like coaxed and kind of teased into coming into the world, like seduced into coming into the world so that the divine could have a relationship with you. So it's not your fault that you're here. You are on a mission, and have compassion for you and everything you've experienced, the family you were born into, the weaknesses that you have, the things that happened to you in your childhood, your all of the things that pull you away from being who you are, all of your shadow side, right? Have compassion for all of the things.
Everything you can't control.
Everything you can't control.
That got you to this point and you have no control over is all, a setup for your mission.
Exactly. Like all the dark spots, right? And so just have compassion for all of that, because this is your soul's journey. And the good news is this is why you're here, is to shine light into those places. So have a lot of compassion on yourself for that. So then I love compassion is just key. So if you walk away with just that, I'll be happy. So number 3, the third C, is curiosity. So this is like a pro tip for personal growth nerds like me. So curiosity is all about being in that childlike curiosity, the beginner's mind, the open-mindedness of what is possible. What else is possible besides this really funky feeling that I am feeling stuck and frustrated and guilty that I didn't get everything done, and resentful that other people are taking up my time, or whatever it is. So being curious, what else is possible? What's a different kind of thought that I could have in my head? And then after that,
I love that. Discovery mode. I was a graphic designer for 15 years. And if you can't get into that discovery mode, then you're going to be trying to force something like a circle into a square until you finally let go and are able to get into that. So I totally relate to that. This really super important. Yeah, go ahead. That's why, by the way, like total practical tip, go hang out with kids. They are so good at this. They are natural at just having fun and being in the curiosity mode and not really trying to get anywhere or do anything. They're just happy being. And it's really fun to be around them when you can get in touch with that. So thank you. Okay, what's the next C? I'm loving this.
And let's just like dive a little bit deeper into this one, if that's okay, with just a couple more things.
Yes, I love it. Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
So first, a little anecdote, and then another tip. So the anecdote is that thank God, God blessed me with 4 kids. Now 3 of them are teenagers, and I got my little guy at home. So the difference between the first one and the fourth one is with the first one, it was all about what can I teach them today? What can I teach them? What can I, what can I program their subconscious with so that they'll grow up into, whole beings, and so now my interaction is more like, I wonder what he's thinking about. What do you draw? What are you drawing over there? What do you think? What do you think of this? What are you just being so interested in my child's world? Right. So that's a little anecdote, how I've kind of changed from that micromanaging, trying to be, influence. And that's important. We have to influence, but it's, not just pushing you onto them. It's like opening up and see what are they reflecting back to you that's inside of them. Right. And the tip is like this.
I love
yeah. And the tip is like this. In order to get yourself into that curiosity mode, ask yourself this question. I wonder. It's very simple. I wonder what else is possible for me at this moment. I wonder how I can move forward on this. And one particular example that's coming to my head is, I wonder how that pile of dishes is going to get washed. Really practical. Do you ever face a pile of dishes and you're just like, I really don't feel like doing this, and like you didn't delegate it or whatever, and somehow when you ask that question, those dishes are getting washed because you're doing it from a place of joy, and now it's not even something you have to do. It's just you're in the moment, you're being present, you're with yourself in like complete alignment, and it's this beautiful thing. So I wonder opens up this vacuum for then the divine to bring possibilities into your life. And it doesn't have to be something that's like boring as doing dishes. It could be.
No, I was going to say, one of the nicest things about high achieving women is, instead of saying like, this is how I'm going to get there, this is my goal, I need to get X amount of money, they say, I wonder how quickly I can make this much, or I wonder how long it will take me to make this much. And so it suddenly becomes almost like a game, and not a result. They're sort of playing around with, which is really nice. It's something that I really enjoy about my peers who are all in this, high level of consciousness mindset of just like, I'm here for a reason, I'm here for a purpose, and I'm also here, I'm it's almost like it just aligns so well that I should have the means that will enable me to then amplify my message and, all of that good stuff. So instead of going at it like, very straight and very how, this has to happen, or, I need to get there, it's more like, I wonder how long I can make, it really changes the tone. It makes it so much more fun, more enjoyable, more alive. I really like that. So anyway, I know that those are the types of people who are listening to the two of us. So yeah. I think that's a good example.
And for entrepreneurs, I wonder who my next client will be. I wonder how the divine will, manifest, X amount of money in my business, and etc. So you can play around with that. And then the fourth C is creativity. So basically, discovering, what it is how you were thinking beforehand, getting, insight into that, and curious, and then creating something new. Like, what is the new mindset that you want to have? The biggest mistake that people make is they want to jump from awareness of what their old mindset was, old thought patterns, into the new one. The problem is that without those in-between steps, compassion for yourself and opening up to curiosity, then it's kind of like just writing something over the old one without erasing the old one. And so creating a new mindset comes from that. And you can choose whatever it is. And when I work with people, I take them through an intuitive process that helps that open up intuitively from their inner guidance. So hopefully it's something that really resonates with you. And when you check in with that new mindset in your gut, it feels good. So, so for example, let me ask you, what would be like an alternative? Let's say you went through all the steps. What would be an alternative to, I have to push myself harder, for example?
I can allow, whatever, I can allow it in. I can allow it to just come to me. That would be an alternative.
That felt good. I took a nice breath when you said that.
I've been doing a lot of work, you can tell. This isn't new to me. Yeah, that belief that it needs to be perfect and I need to do it right and all the ducks in a row. It's, I worked so hard to really just change that and just, play and allow it to be and receive, get really in touch with that feminine receiving ability to just like open myself up and get out of the way. Like sometimes I feel like when I'm in that, push mode, I'm really getting in the way of what is coming. And when I could just move aside and just open myself up, it's so magical and it's so normal. You know what I mean? Can you relate to that? Like that, it's a little bit hard to explain because for people who don't know what I'm talking about, there's just this like, it just flows. Like you're saying, ease and flow. When you finally get to that point where you're like adjust and just like let it come instead of make it come, pull it down.
That's the reconnection, the realignment, the getting grounded and getting in touch with your divine soul. That's what it's all about. And from that place, you take it into the 5th C, which is committed action. So we're leaving all the woo-woo. And yeah, you love this because we're bringing it down.
I love it. You know why? Because it's so practical, like Connected for Real. Why I named it that was exactly that, because you can be super connected and super in that high fluffy mode, but if you don't bring it down and you don't take action and you don't actually show, put your money where your mouth is, then there is lacking. So Chris Guillebeau says at the end of his podcast, almost every single week or day, like he has a daily podcast, and he says, inspiration is great, but inspiration with action is so much better. And I love every single time I listen to him. Like that is my highlight of the day because it is exactly what you said. And that's why it made me, react so excitedly, is because it's really true. So I am all about practical. Go ahead, go into this one. Let's hear.
That is so true. And this is where the divine and human parts of us come together. So we are now taking our steps here. We are in the world to take action. And so from that new place now, with self-compassion, with complete awareness, with new insights from your curiosity and creativity, now you can take your next steps, whatever that is, in your your family life, in your work life, whether it is to accomplish a task in your business or, I don't know, you can give me some examples of things, whether it has to do with something in your relationship with your husband or with your children.
I was going to say, because I'm a marriage coach and my specialty is marriage, then I would like to bring it to marriage. Let's connect it, let's bring that into the relationship, of the most important relationship in our life that sometimes falls behind or lags in the background when we're trying to push through, as we said, push through and make things happen. It gets a little bit rusty and it doesn't feel nice because in theory, it's the most important thing in our lives. Like in theory, we know this is priority, but in reality, it sometimes doesn't show. And so it's very frustrating and makes a lot of women feel very resentful of their husbands. A lot of times because they feel like he's the one holding them back, or he's the one that's creating this, situation. Sometimes there is that lack of balance between the two, where she feels like she's working hard and she's always the one learning and developing and finding new ways and trying to make it work, and he's just sort of sitting back and waiting for something magical to happen or whatever. Like these are the complaints that I'm getting. And like, why me? Why do I have to take responsibility? Why do I have to do all the work? Why do I have to be the good one? Those are real concerns. And those are things I used to think. I remember going to a marriage class and asking that, like, I'm always the good one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, does this make sense? So yes, it makes sense. Like, this is what it is. Like, you know, this is how it is. And if it's important to you, then you be the one to make a change. And if you're fine with it, then that's fine too. So yeah, so I'd like to hear how you can connect what you taught us until now.
Yeah, thank you for that, because you're right on the ball, and that's what women are thinking and feeling. And that's why I chose this topic today, the myth of work-life balance, because when you realize that God is in control and it's time to allow and let go of control, and you focus on that sense of trust and the process we talked about, the awareness of yourself, what's going on, the compassion, curiosity, being creative about it, coming from that place, you make those inner changes in yourself, and you will see changes in the people around you. It's a ripple effect. It's all energy. All, you know, the divine is one, eternal, infinite, and that's all there is. And so when you make that change in yourself, you're opening up to higher and higher levels in your divine soul, and that's just going to influence everyone around them and touch their souls too. When you come from your heart, you will touch their hearts. When you come from your highest self, you will touch their highest self. And that's what I'm hearing also from the women that I work with. It's like when they work on themselves and make these very subtle but very deep, profound, miraculous changes in themselves, then they notice their communication is better with their husbands. They're getting more respect from their husbands. The husbands are turning to them for their intuition. That happens a lot too. And they jump up level their relationship with their husband. So quick story. One woman that I was working with was constantly stressed out. She really had this not enough thing going on in a way that I can really understand, because I burned out from that. She was on the edge of burning out. And so she came to me just really desperate for help. Her communication with her husband was awful. There was a lot of bickering and tenseness. Her kid would cling to her when she was trying to let her off at the gun at the kindergarten, and she was just constantly stressed and overwhelmed. And right, okay, so you can imagine that. So by learning how to let go and to allow and to trust in the process of life, and to rewire her brain, rewire the neurological system that had all these old patterns in it. Through that process alone, she just created miracles in her life. She created an amazing relationship with her husband, where they were working as a team, and where he was asking, how can I help? Her daughter went happily to kindergarten because her mother wasn't stressed out. Like, her mother let go. Oh, now the kid could let go.
Right.
And she just became a more happier and healthier person. And in fact, there was a point at which we were working together, and she was worried that she had become lazy. Because she was so used to pushing herself. She wasn't lazy. She had finally learned on a deep, visceral way how to just be calm and relaxed no matter what was happening around her. And that is like the goal of every woman, is to become that person in the family that can be relaxed and calm no matter what's happening, especially in these times, in times of political upheaval, of coronavirus, of the uncertainty. We need to hold that place calm and alignment.
Yeah, that is. And, you know, I think that the last point of commitment, if you can commit to yourself, you know, that was the whole thing about, like, why me? Why do I have to work? Why doesn't, for once, he take responsibility for the relationship? Like, really? You're going to give him that, you know, that the key to your happiness? Like, here you go, bye. Like, no, it's your life. You want it. You make a commitment to yourself to really give yourself what you need. because when you can do that, then things start moving forward. Then you're stepping up to something that is, action. It's a commitment that shows to yourself that this is really important. This week I had a client who said, it's not fair that my husband doesn't, give to me when he can. He only gives whatever. She had a whole story. And like, I'm always the leftovers. And so I said, let's turn it around. Let's see, how do you give to yourself when you can? And she's like, I give to everyone else. And at the end, most times I don't even have as much as other people. And so I just get the leftovers. And I was like, isn't that interesting? And she was shocked. She never even thought about it. And it was suddenly so clear that she treats herself the way she wants, the way he treats her. And to him, this might be just kind of completely normal because this is how she treats herself. So I said, step one, put yourself first, like really take yourself seriously and commit to treating yourself the way you want to be treated. And it just so quickly opens up because you can finally give yourself the things you want. Like you don't have to wait around.
And that's where we do have
mind blowing. I'm like, I don't have to wait for someone else to whatever, this is like something we are not really given permission to do, I think, by society. It's something that we have to learn to give ourselves.
Yeah, I love those mind-blowing moments that you have with your clients. And that's the one place. That's the one place where you do need to control. You need to control yourself in the sense that
it's the only thing you can control.
That you can is your thoughts, your speech, and your actions, and it starts with that compassion. It really does. Because if you start,
the first gift you should give yourself is compassion, and it's really hard. It's really, really hard to be able to just sit down and say, oh, I had an example. I was doing yoga and I wasn't feeling well, like halfway through, like maybe, 45 minutes in, and we went up and down and up and down. And like, I started feeling it was hot. We're doing it in the sun because of COVID. We're always outside. It's really hot. It was like 12:30 in the afternoon. Like it was really a hot day. And I didn't have enough water in my bottle, whatever. The whole thing was just a disaster. And towards the end, I felt, I couldn't do it anymore. And I felt like, and then she says, okay, now we're going to do a flow. I'm like, no way. I am not doing anything else. And I just put myself flat and, brought my knees to me. And I just like rocked back and forth and just tried to relax and breathe. And I felt my brain going, this is terrible. You're paying full price for a class and you're not even doing the stuff. What's going on? You should push yourself and this and that. And then I actually heard myself stop and say, wait, but hello, I am doing exactly what I need to do for my body right now. I am so proud of myself that I was able to be so aware. Look at me just resting here while everybody else is working hard. And I'm working just as hard because resting is super important when your body needs it. And I was standing up for myself and having this entire conversation back and forth. And I really felt that it was an active, this was active work. Like you think I wasn't working yoga. I was working a lot in my head because your automatic screams at you, don't and no, and it's not enough and it's not good and it's not this and that and the other. And you have to stand up for yourself and say no, it's fine. I'm doing great. I'm really proud of myself. Look at how much I did. Look at how aware I was that I needed to rest and look at how I didn't push myself. What's the point of pushing myself and then fainting? Really, would that have made you happy? So I think that just being really honest with yourself and giving yourself credit and love and compassion is key. And so I just wanted to give that example because it came up in my head, but I think it's so real. Just no, everybody's having this, maybe not everyone, maybe I'm just special, but most people are having these conversations in their head and you have to be conscious enough and aware enough to stand up for it and say I choose compassion. I'm not going to let the automatic, negative thoughts, the ants, ruin my picnic. There was a really great book about that. He calls it The Ants, Automatic Negative Thoughts. And he says, don't let the ants ruin your picnic. And it's so powerful. It's like so cute. But yeah, don't let that.
That's so beautiful. You really do need to be your number one advocate, because no one's going to do it for you. You need to be that person. You know, there comes a point when no matter what has happened to us in our past, we need to grow ourselves up, and we need to collect those fragmented parts of us and finally see and hear ourselves, because we were not always seen and heard as children. I think that's true for maybe every single person on this planet. From our own perspective, we don't feel like we're seen and heard, right? And it's time to do that now. It's really, really important. Thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you. Nicole says negative Nancy. So I guess she has a name for that, those thought patterns.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
That's a great and clever idea to make a character out of your thoughts, so that it can be light, right? It doesn't have to be so heavy.
And also external. Sometimes when we can give that, you know, when we can separate ourselves from our thoughts, so it's not our identity. It's not I am those thoughts. It's like this, you know, just as if someone else was saying them, and you're just wondering if, you know, almost like that curiosity part where like, should I listen? Should I buy this? Or am I, you know, can I choose to say no? Like I have that choice of saying like, no, thanks, you know, as if someone is trying to sell you this negative thought, and you can choose to not let it in or not buy it, not buy into it.
Yeah. And I think it's important to, in addition to that, to remember, where does the negativity come from? It really comes from the divine. And it's actually a gift, because it gives us the opportunity to overcome it. It gives us the chance to shine light in that darkness. And so we each have our own individual customized package of darkness and weaknesses and mindset pitfalls, as you might call them. And each one of us has our own, you know, soul's journey in order to overcome those things. And that's why we're here.
I love that. I love that you said it comes from God, because once you realize that, you know, the darkness and the light are all one, and it all comes from the same source. And then really the point here is choice. You know, why do we have these thoughts? Because we can choose if we want them or not. We can choose if to listen or not. We can choose if to believe or not, just like we can choose to do something about the situation. So it really is, you know, so powerful. I love that point that you brought up.
Yeah, and it connects to another really important point, which is making changes doesn't have to be hard. It can be as easy as making a choice in the moment.
Yes, and there's actually a rabbi. I really should find out who it was, because I was in high school and I remember a teacher telling us about this rabbi, and they asked him, how did you become so big? Like the top of the food chain type of big, you know, like how did you do it? And he said, one choice at a time. You know, I had a choice between going this way or going that way, and I chose going this way. And then again, I had a choice, this or that, and I chose this way. And so every single time I made a choice. Can you imagine if you took a right every time, you know, or whatever, a right, left, you'd get to where you want to go. And even if you took one wrong turn here or there, it wouldn't make such a big difference in the big picture of things. Your choices will take you where you choose to go. And so it really is one choice at a time. And once you break it down that way, then it feels like baby steps. Like, don't think about the full thing, just like right now. And I'll bring it into marriage because I do that. Like, if you haven't been sick of me yet, then great. I love that you guys are here. When you have a situation, you know, you want to answer back and you know it's the wrong thing to do, or you want to just be quiet and you know you have to stand up for whatever, or you have to say something. Like, there's always the right thing in your mind to do, and then it takes courage to do it. It's a choice to either you get on that train that's going the wrong direction, or you wait for the next train that's going in the right direction. You know, either you jump on the right train or you wait for the wrong train. Like, it's always a choice between, am I going the right direction? Am I choosing the trajectory I want? Or am I falling into this loop now of hurt and, you know, hurt and get hurt? because I decided to jump into the fight. So
Yeah.
definitely.
And the more connected that you are to yourself, the easier it is to jump on the right train. Because the more connected you are to yourself, the easier it is to see what is going to be the consequence of this thing that I really want to say that will be so satisfying to that negative side of myself. But when you're connected to yourself, you can really feel what is going to be the result of that next step that you're going to take.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're running out of time. So I want you to tell us, like the punch at the end of like something really powerful that we could take out of this. And if anybody wants to write in the comments what they really enjoyed or any questions, do that now, because we love comments. Oh, look at that. When in regards to sin while tempted, I say not allowed. When wanting to respond with an attitude, I say not allowed. Good. That's a good tip. Yeah. She sees them as the same, which is very smart.
That's beautiful. Here's a visual. You can put up, imagine a stop sign, right, in your head. I think I heard it in connection with Abraham, Avram Avinu, our patriarch, that something about saying stop when he was tempted. But that's something that I've used. Just imagine a stop sign in your head to keep from that thing that you really shouldn't say. Yeah. So you're asking what's the big punchline? I think right now, today, on this day, January 12th, 2021, and look at that, the date is 1/1/2/2021, like that. That's cool.
That is cool. Did you guys notice that? Because I didn't. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Is so important to know you are here right now on this planet where you are today for a reason, and that is to shine your light into the darkness, because the world needs you to do that right now, to reveal divinity in the world, whether it's through kindness, a kind act, a kind word, being connected to yourself, whatever it is that lights you up and connects you to your divine soul. Do that thing, because now is the time to do it.
Yes. Yes. And Nicole says yes too, because we all agree. That was so profound. Okay. How can people find you? Let me see if I can find my little link. There we go.
Super simple. So this link will take you to a resource that you can use to get you closer to your state of ease and flow. And it's very similar to the steps that I took you through today. So that's, you can find that resource just by plugging that link into your URL. You can also connect to me on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. My website is Ease and Flow Soul. If you want to learn more about me and see the nice things people had to say about me over there.
I can say nice things about you all the time.
Nice things about me? No, just kidding.
What?
I was just kidding. So I'd love for you to connect in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah, I highly recommend, even if it's just a coffee meeting with Devora-Gila. It is so fun. It was really fun for me also to get to know her and talk. And, it all started from a post she posted that I was like, yes, this is a person I want to be friends with. And then we got friendly from there and we became really good friends and colleagues. If you want the five surprising ways to improve your marriage, it is a free PDF. You can go download it at ConnectedForReal.com/free. And there you will find a free PDF with 5 surprising ways to improve your marriage. It is exactly that. Thank you, Betsy, for being here. That is so fun. My new friend Betsy is here and she says, thank you, ladies. So thank you. Next week, we are having Svetka, who is an interior designer, and she's going to talk to us about how doing construction and redesigning actually create stress on the marriage and what to do about it so it doesn't, and how to deal with, you always have the one who's frugal and the one who wants to pay for things, and, who's in charge of what. And so we're going to talk about that, because I think that it's just really fun to bring all the different angles of, you know, all the different stressors on marriage and really just prepare our minds for how to deal better with every situation. So hopefully you can be back here. I mean, all of you listeners, and Devora-Gila, you can come too next week, because that is going to be really fun. And if you have any questions, if you want to get in touch with Devora-Gila, if you want to get in touch with me, we are both on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and as we said, you can download our free guides, which will give you lots of great advice of how to proceed. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, my mother. Thank you, Betsy. And we will see you next week.